Have you ever wondered why some people seem to achieve more in 1 year than others do in an entire decade? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's mastery of one invisible currency we all possess equally: time. But while most people spend it casually, successful leaders, true CEOs of their own lives, treat time like priceless equity. And today, I'm going to show you how Jim Rohn's lessons can transform the way you use every minute. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand these principles, you'll never manage your days the same way again. 1. Understanding time as equity. Time is not merely a sequence of hours moving quietly across the clock. It is equity, the most fundamental and irreplaceable form of capital that every human being possesses at birth, regardless of social rank, income, or circumstance. Unlike money, which can be regained, multiplied, borrowed, or inherited, time is singular, finite, and constantly diminishing, making it the purest investment vehicle we will ever own. CEOs, entrepreneurs, and high performers understand this intuitively. They do not trade time for random tasks, movements, or busy work. They trade time for results, leverage, and outcomes that compound far beyond the minute or hour initially invested. To think like a high performer is to treat each minute as a seed with exponential potential, a seed that, if planted in the right soil of discipline, intention, and clarity, can grow into achievements, opportunities, and capabilities that would otherwise never exist. Jim Rohn once pointed out that success is nothing more than the natural consequence of consistently using time wisely, and failure is nothing more than the cumulative effect of neglect. So the question you must ask yourself each day is simple but life-defining. Are you compounding your time or consuming it? Compounding time means directing your hours toward actions that build your future, learning new skills, developing your mind, cultivating relationships, building systems, and taking steps toward meaningful goals. Consuming time, on the other hand, is what most people do without realizing it, scrolling endlessly, engaging in trivial drama, reacting to life instead of designing it, and spending precious minutes on distractions that feel urgent but produce nothing. When you begin to view time as equity, you naturally elevate your decisions. You stop giving hours to anything beneath your mission. You stop pretending you have time to kill, because you understand that every minute is silently asking you, "What are you making of me?" This mindset shift transforms how you wake up, how you plan your day, how you choose your associations, how you prioritize your energy, and how you evaluate opportunities. Suddenly, everything counts, not in a suffocating way, but in an empowering one. The value of your time becomes the value of your life. And the moment you internalize this truth is the moment your life direction sharpens. A CEO wakes up every morning knowing that time equity is the fuel of all progress. You must do the same. Ask yourself what your time is worth. Ask yourself why you would ever invest it in anything that does not return growth, freedom, strength, peace, or purpose. When you begin measuring time not by hours passed, but by value produced, you unlock the mentality that separates dreamers from builders. 2. Eliminating time waste. Time waste is one of the most underestimated and insidious destroyers of human potential, silently eating away at your goals, dreams, and possibilities long before you ever realize the cost. Unlike a financial loss, where you can immediately see the numbers drop, time waste is invisible. You don't feel it slipping away because it disappears in micro moments. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a day postponed, a task delayed, a decision avoided, until suddenly you look back and realize that months or even years have eroded with nothing meaningful to show. This is why top performers and CEOs guard their time with a fierce discipline that outsiders often interpret as rigidity or intolerance. But they know the truth. Every distraction is a withdrawal from your account of potential, and every moment lost to procrastination or meaningless engagement is a moment that can never be reinvested. Time bandits come in many forms: digital distractions, emotional drama, cluttered commitments, unaligned relationships, disorganization, fatigue, perfectionism, and the subtle but deadly habit of doing easy tasks instead of important ones. Most people will lose years of progress to these forces simply because they never identify them, never challenge them, and never remove them. But a CEO-style thinker eliminates time waste ruthlessly. Why? Because they understand that the cost of time waste is not measured in hours. It is measured in opportunities missed, skills not developed, revenue not earned, peace not felt, and identities never fully formed. Time waste doesn't just delay your future, it dilutes you. It erodes your confidence, your momentum, and your sense of personal power. Once you decide that wasted time is no longer acceptable, everything changes. Your environment changes, your boundaries change, your routines change, your relationships change, and your mental clarity sharpens. You begin to see procrastination not as laziness, but as sabotage. You begin to recognize that meaningless busyness is often a disguise for fear, avoidance, or lack of clarity. The work, then, is to identify your top time bandits honestly. What distracts you most? What drains your energy? Which habits pull you away from your potential? Which people pull you into chaos? Which commitments add pressure but no progress? Once identified, you eliminate them, not gradually, not eventually, but decisively. Your future self depends on your willingness to do this. A life free of time waste feels radically different. There is more mental space, more momentum, more clarity, more creativity, and more accomplishment. You wake up with direction instead of dread. You move with purpose instead of panic. You stop reacting to life and begin directing it. Time waste is not a minor issue. It is the battle that determines the quality of your life. And once you defeat it, your progress accelerates beyond anything you imagined possible. 3. Time blocking. Time blocking is not simply a productivity technique. It is a mindset, a philosophy, and a structural discipline that transforms the way you live, work, and create. While most people drift through their days hoping to find time for what matters, top performers acknowledge a hard truth. You never find time. You assign it, protect it, and honor it. This is why CEOs, elite creators, and high achievers rely on time blocking as a core operating system. Time blocking means crafting intentional segments of your day dedicated to specific categories of meaningful work: deep focus, strategic thinking, growth, rest, health, relationships, planning, and creative expansion. When you define these blocks in advance, you remove decision fatigue, eliminate guesswork, and create a structure that frees your mind from the constant stress of trying to figure out what to do next. Structure, contrary to popular belief, is not restrictive. It is liberating. It gives your priorities a protected space to exist. Without it, you are at the mercy of interruptions, impulses, external demands, and the endless noise of modern life. With it, your life begins to follow your goals rather than your distractions. The power of time blocking lies in its non-negotiability. A block is a contract with your future self. You don't move it because you feel tired. You don't skip it because something came up. You honor it because it represents your intention in physical form. Over time, these consistent blocks create mastery, progress, and identity shifts that compound far beyond the effort invested. Time blocking also reveals what truly matters. When you try to schedule your priorities into a calendar, you quickly realize whether your life is aligned with your ambitions or whether your days are cluttered with low-value tasks masquerading as obligations. You begin to see that many things once considered urgent are merely distractions in disguise. A well-structured schedule becomes a shield against chaos, emotional reactivity, and wasted time. It brings stability, rhythm, and predictability to your days, not in a robotic way, but in an empowering one that allows for deeper creativity and greater presence. Time blocking also enhances your relationship with rest. When rest is intentionally scheduled, it becomes restorative rather than guilty or accidental. The same goes for reflection, learning, skill building, and strategic thinking, activities that shape your long-term success but are often neglected because they don't scream for attention. With time blocking, they finally receive the space they deserve. Ultimately, time blocking is an act of self-respect. It says, "My time matters, my goals matter, my life's direction matters." When your schedule reflects your highest priorities, your actions follow, and your identity grows into the person capable of achieving what once felt out of reach. When your time is structured with intention, your life becomes a reflection of that intention. This is the discipline of builders, leaders, and creators, the discipline that shifts you from drifting through life to directing it with clarity, power, and purpose. 4. Knowing what finally matters. To understand what finally matters is to reclaim mastery over your time, your direction, and ultimately your life. Jim Rohn's warning, "Don't major in minor things," is not merely a motivational slogan, but a philosophical compass pointing toward a fundamental truth. Life becomes heavier and more chaotic the moment we confuse urgency with importance. CEOs, high achievers, and Stoic thinkers share a trait in common. They ruthlessly clarify what deserves their energy and cut away what does not. This clarity is not accidental, it is trained. Most people scatter their days across trivial obligations, emotional reactions, and distractions that promise instant gratification but deliver long-term emptiness. But those who rise, those who lead, make deliberate choices. They ask themselves not, "What do I feel like doing today?" but "What will matter 5 years from now? What will I wish I had started earlier? What decision today reduces regret tomorrow?" When you begin to think in these longer time horizons, your priorities shift automatically. Suddenly, momentary irritation matters less, long-term character matters more. Short-term praise fades, long-term mastery becomes the goal. The noise of the day quiets when your internal compass is tuned to a mission that stretches beyond today's emotions. Stoic philosophy teaches the same principle through a different lens. You cannot control everything, but you can control what you choose to value. Every decision, therefore, is a vote for the person you are becoming. And every moment spent on something insignificant steals time from what is meaningful. CEOs often say that the hardest part of leadership is not choosing what to do, but choosing what not to do. They understand that greatness requires subtraction. A focused mind outpaces a scattered one. But this level of discipline requires constant reflection. What activities drain my energy but add nothing to my future? What habits reflect my fears instead of my aspirations? What obligations do I keep out of guilt or social expectation rather than purpose? When you refine this awareness, you begin to see that life is simpler than it appears. Most things can be ignored. Very few things truly move the needle. The more you focus on what matters, the more your confidence grows, because your actions begin to align with your values. Your days stop feeling random, they gain structure, like the scaffolding of a building rising with intentional design. And something else happens too. Your results compound. Focus is a multiplier. When your attention is divided among many small things, progress is slow and shallow. But when your attention is concentrated on a few meaningful pillars, your character, your craft, your health, your mission, results begin to accelerate. Opportunities align. People notice. You experience the power of momentum. Life itself begins to cooperate with those who live with clarity. In the end, knowing what matters is not simply about productivity, it is about peace. It is about living in a way that leaves no regret. It is about waking up with direction and going to bed with satisfaction. The world is full of distractions competing for your attention, but only you can decide what earns the right to shape your life. So ask yourself with ruthless honesty, if my future self could speak to me today, what would he ask me to focus on? What would she warn me to stop wasting time on? The answer to that question, once accepted and acted upon, becomes your North Star. Everything else becomes noise. 5. Investing time in growth activities. Growth activities are the silent architects of a powerful future, the hidden engines behind every great life. They rarely demand attention, yet they yield the greatest rewards. Learning, building skills, cultivating relationships, and strengthening your health may appear slow and unremarkable in the moment, but they are the compound interest of personal development. The earlier you invest, the more unstoppable the returns. Many people fall into the trap of confusing movement with progress. They stay busy, but not better. But the individuals who transform their lives understand that improvement is not accidental. It is intentional and often invisible. Reading one chapter does not make you wise, but reading consistently reshapes your worldview. Practicing a skill for 20 minutes a day does not make you a master, but over months and years, it turns you into someone others call talented. A single workout does not change your health, but the discipline of caring for your body builds resilience, energy, and confidence. Each small act compounds. Over time, growth activities shift your trajectory in ways dramatic tasks never could. Learning becomes a competitive advantage. Relationships become opportunities rather than obligations. Health becomes freedom instead of fragility. The Stoics believed that true wealth was the ability to improve oneself, because no external force can take that away. CEOs think similarly. They spend more time acquiring knowledge, expanding networks, and developing strategic thinking than chasing temporary wins. They invest in growth because they understand that tomorrow rewards those who prepare today. When you dedicate time to self-improvement, something remarkable happens. The future becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Instead of fearing what comes next, you become the kind of person who can handle it. The person who learns daily does not dread uncertainty. They adapt. The person who nurtures relationships is never alone in opportunity or crisis. The one who takes care of their health experiences life with more vitality, clarity, and endurance. Growth activities also protect you from stagnation. When you continuously evolve, the world cannot easily overwhelm you. Challenges shrink in proportion to your expanding capability. Problems that once felt impossible become routine. Confidence grows, not the shallow confidence of ego, but the deep confidence of competence. And yet, the greatest barrier to growth is not difficulty, but distraction. Modern life presents endless entertainment, endless noise, endless demands on your attention. Growth requires stepping away from the comfort of passive consumption and choosing the discomfort of deliberate effort. It requires understanding that the easiest choice in the moment is rarely the best choice for the future. But once growth becomes part of your identity, it stops feeling like a chore. It becomes nourishment. You begin to crave progress. You begin to trust yourself. You realize that the gap between the life you have and the life you want is not luck, talent, or circumstance. It is the consistency of your investments. Every minute spent learning, practicing, connecting, or strengthening is money in the bank of your future. and the interest on that account is extraordinary. So ask yourself, what small growth activity can I commit to today that will compound over years? What skill, habit, or relationship deserves a little more of my time? Because the truth is simple. The world rewards those who grow, and your future self is waiting to thank you for every minute you invest. Value your time, and your life will value you back. Take control of your minutes, and you take control of your destiny.